Good evening. Welcome to the National News broadcast coming to you live from the National News Studio here at Rupavahini. I'm Hassan.
I'm Charita Minipurarachi, and let's move on to the headlines for tonight's news. Prices of medicines will be decreased. Dengue prevention programs have been implemented continuously throughout the island. A case has been filed in Singapore against the owners of the Express Pearl vessel. 3 new governors were sworn in. Permission granted to register local electric three-wheelers. World Rugby Council has suspended its membership of Sri Lanka. US political parties conduct a special discussion to solve the credit crisis. Moving on to those and other stories in detail now, and starting off with the top local story. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka reported that the Sri Lankan rupee has appreciated further against the US dollar today in comparison to yesterday.
The buying rate of the US dollar has reduced from 305 rupees and 43 cents to 302 rupees and 42 cents, while the selling rate has reduced from 318 rupees and 79 cents to 316 rupees and 18 cents. The rupee has also significantly appreciated against other foreign currencies, including Gulf currencies. Meanwhile, the central bank has issued the highest ever volume of 180 billion rupees treasury bills today. The previous all-time high was 160 billion rupees.
China has reiterated that Beijing and Sri Lanka are currently in active communications on the process of debt restructuring. This was stated by the Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbing at the Ministry of Press briefing held yesterday. Spokesperson Webbing said that the Beijing has stated its position multiple times on the Sri Lanka debt issue. Let me reiterate that they support Chinese financial institutions in actively working on the debt treatment with Sri Lanka side, he said. He have been in close communication with the Sri Lankan side and take concrete steps but will continue to play a positive role in this regard. At the same time, we call on commercial and multilateral creditors to take part in Sri Lanka's debt restructuring based on fair burden sharing, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson said. He further stated that Beijing was learned that the Sri Lankan government has implicitly noted that it will discuss the debt restructuring issue with some of its creditors, including China, through bilateral channels. China and Sri Lanka are keeping communications on this, he said.
State Minister Pramita Bandarathenakon says that the Sri Lankan military will be right-sized gradually and will be set up for their classic role subsequently. He made these remarks during a cordial discussion held with Deputy Assistant Secretary of Bureau of South and Central Asian Affairs of the US Department of State, Afreen Akhtar. Responding to steps taken concerning defence reforms, he expressed these remarks to Deputy Assistant Secretary Akhtar during a meeting held at his office in Colombo yesterday. Recalling supportive measures extended by the US government, State Minister Thenakon also discussed avenues accessible to strengthen military-to-military and further defence cooperation between the two countries. The fruitful bilateral discussion also included US. Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for South Asian Affairs Afreen Akhtar participated at the closing ceremony of Climate Action Champion Network Regional Conclave. She also made remarks on strengthening diplomatic relations between Sri Lanka and Washington.
And I am so thrilled to be here. This is my second visit to Sri Lanka. I'm here to help celebrate 75 years of diplomatic relations and to really build our partnership. We in Washington are following Sri Lanka very closely, and we are excited to be working with your country in the years ahead. I've had a number of really great meetings with government interlocutors, with members of parliament, with civil society, with actors all across the spectrum about building this relationship in the years to come.
Cremation ceremony of the late Mahanayaka Thera of the Sri Lanka Amarapura chapter, Most Venerable Dunampahala Chandrasera Thero, will be held at the Independence Square in Colombo under full state honours on the 21st of this month.
The late Mahanayaka who resided at the Gautama Vihara in Rajagiriya suddenly passed away yesterday at Sri Javaradhapura General Hospital due to a health failure. The remains of Mahanayaka was brought to Kalapalabhava Sri Tapovana Vihara this morning. The remains will lie at the Tapovana Vihara until 12 noon on the 21st for the public to pay homage to late Thera. The Mahanayaka has rendered a priceless service to the country. Therefore, the funeral organizing committee has decided to conduct the cremation ceremony at full state honours at the Independence Square.
Three new governors were sworn in today at the Presidential Secretariat before President Ranil Wickremesinghe. Lakshman Yapapewardena was sworn in as the Governor of Northwestern Province. PSM Charles is the new Governor of the Northern Province. Senthil Tondaman was sworn in as the Governor of the Eastern Province. President Secretary Saman Ekanayaka and several others were present at this occasion. President Ranil Wickremesinghe, during a meeting with ministry secretaries and provincial chief secretaries, expressed confidence that the proper implementation of the government's policy program would lead to economic prosperity, surpassing the goals set by the International Monetary Fund.
He stressed the need for collective effort to address the concerns raised by youth regarding the country's economy and the future. The President emphasized the importance of restructuring state-owned companies to ensure a prosperous economy and urged ministry secretaries to support the government's policy program rather than protecting companies under their jurisdictions. He also highlighted the forthcoming regulations on capital expenditure and projects of Provincial Council. With decisions on power distribution at the local level expected within the next few months, the meeting covered the progress of budget proposals, the performance of ministry secretaries, and discussions on public enterprise reconciliation, public service management, and the economy. Detailed deliberations were held on law amendments related to police changes in the interim budget and 2023 budget presented in Parliament, as well as the bills associated with the obligations to the Asian Development Bank, World Bank and International Monetary Fund. President Ranil Wickremesinghe said that as the President, he acknowledged that every ministry shares responsibility for the economic bankruptcy of the country faces today. In the past, ministries were tasked with allocating funds for various activities, but unfortunately this often led to squandering of people's hard-earned money. It is understandable that the youth are questioning of state of our nation, and it is our duty as politicians and administrative officials to provide them with the answers. While we cannot change what has already transpired, we have to power to reverse the situation. In the past, our government has successfully rebuilt the economy, such as in 1977 when we took over the revitalized the country, and again in 2001 when we led the government and achieved a rapid economic recovery by 2004. At present, we have around 30 ministries. Let us maintain this number and avoid further expansion. The amalgamation of the local government and state administration into one ministry is a positive development. Similarly, we have successfully unified irrigation and canal management. By the end of next year, we should strive to bring plantation industries and agriculture under one ministry. Our first priority is the implementation of the International Monetary Fund's proposals. We cannot evade this responsibility and must move forward accordingly. By adhering to these proposals, we can establish economic stability. Subsequently, we need to focus on repaying the loan. This necessitates embarking on a rapid development program with a targeted completion date of 2048.
Dengue prevention programs are being implemented throughout the island continuously. The Presidential Secretariat has instructed the Ministry of Health to efficiently conduct these programs with the Dengue Control Task Force.
Compared to the first quarter of last year, there is an increase of 2,000 dengue cases in the same period this year. Director of the National Dengue Control Unit, Dr. Nalin Arviratna, says necessary measures have been taken to control this situation. About 22,000 dengue cases were reported during June and July last year. Measures have been taken at present to control rapid spread of disease. 22 deaths were reported due to dengue fever so far this year. Accordingly to the National Dengue Control, over 34,500 cases have been reported since January up to now. Majority of cases were reported from the Western Province. It was 17,049. Gampaha, Colombo, Kalutara and Puttalam districts have been identified as dengue rampant areas. The health sector stresses that many dengue control programs, including public awareness, have been implemented at present, and public should extend their maximum support to make them a success. 500 houses in the Batakethura Gramanilahari division in Kasbah MOH area are checked by today, and many mosquito breeding places were identified there. Red alert have been issued for these premises and fumigation was also carried out. Mahavatta area in Atalugaba was also inspected today. Some premises where dengue mosquitoes were identified were imposed with fines. Officials of the Kalutara District Epidemic Control and Public Health Inspectors were present at these programs.
Health Minister Kelly Ramakrishnan says that price of medicine can be reduced in future in line with the depreciation of dollar. He made these remarks at a ceremony held in Kandy today. Minister Kelly Ramakrishnan said that prices of many varieties of medicine increased in the past when the dollar increased up to 370 rupees. However, as the dollar has depreciated, prices of medicine can be decreased at present. The accounts section of the Health Ministry has already been instructed to have talks with the Ministry of Finance and take measures to reduce the prices of medicines. However, some pharmacies have problems as they have to use air conditioners. Thereby, the electricity bill goes higher. However, prices of medicines can be reduced definitely in certain amounts. The ceremony was held at the Mahinda Rajapaksa Auditorium in Pulgolla to mark the International Nurses Day. About 1,200 nurses participated in this event.
And meanwhile, Sri Lanka has case filed against the owners of the Express Pearl vessel in Singapore. The compensation has been filed in the 25th of April this year. The Attorney General has filed this case as the claimant. The compensation claimed has been filed at the Singapore High Court against 6 respondents. Additional Solicitor General Chaitya Gunasekara said that the relevant pre-trial conference was held at the Singapore High Court on the 15th of this month. A further follow-up of the case is to be held on the 1st of next month. The Attorney General's Department is considering the case to be shifted to the International Commercial Courts based on the rules and regulations of Singapore. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena says that measures will be taken to enhance cooperation between Sri Lanka and Yunnan province in China.
The Prime Minister made these comments at a discussion held with the Chinese governor for the Yunnan province at the Temple Trees. They focus attention to expand cooperation in the trade, tourism, agriculture, technology and investment sectors between the two countries. Yunnan province has a population of 50 million and a gross domestic production of $147 billion in 2022. Governor of the province Wang Yubo pointed out that the Yunnan province is able to support friendly countries like Sri Lanka. Meanwhile, the government has decided to register a locally manufactured electric three-wheeler under the approval of supervision level. Except the electric circuits, all other parts of this three-wheeler are manufactured locally. Transport Minister Bandulu Gunawardena and officials of the Department of Motor Traffic yesterday inspected this electric three-wheel manufacturing factory. The factory is located at Palagama area in Polgasovita. Leading vehicle assembly and importing company Ideal Motor grants technical support for this project. This three-wheeler has 2 rows of seats and spacers for 7 passengers. Managing Director of Milton Motors, H.B. Milton, says that this model of three-wheelers are to be exported to African countries in future. Except the electric circuit battery and the windscreen, all other parts, including the chassis, are manufactured in the Milton Motors company. Commissioner General of Motor Traffic Nishant Anuruddha said that the manufacturer's attempt is to produce all required genuine spare parts and other things needed to assemble three-wheels in the island. The government expects to register this under the Department of Motor Traffic and to provide standard certifications to this venture.
රෙජිස්ටර් කරලා මේකට අවශ්‍ය තත්ත්ව සහතික ලබා දීමට අවශ්‍ය මූලික කටයුතු සිදු කරලා දීලා ඒකට අවශ්‍ය සියලුම පහසුකම් අපේ පැත්තෙන් දෙන්නත් පුළුවන් සියලුම සහයෝගය ලබා දීලා ඉදිරියට කටයුතු කරන්න.
Minister Bandula Gunawardena said that in the past Sri Lanka imported three-wheelers, but in the near future the country will be able to export 7C three-wheelers. This will be a system change. The Minister of Transport and Minister of Industries hope to establish entrepreneurs that win international targets. The World Communication and Information Society Day falls today.
A special ceremony was held at the Ministry of Mass Media today to mark the occasion under the patronage of Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena. The National Program of School Media Society Promotion was also held at the Ministry in line with the Communication Day. The aim of the program is to enhance the communication skills among school children. School media societies were distributed with registration certificates, communication book sets and issued special identity cards to the media teachers. Minister Bandula Gunawardena said that knowledge should be molded to suit the current needs of the world. Unless there will be no suitable academics for the existing vacancies, many students who pass out of universities have failed in life. Then they have to unleash violence against the society. We have been experiencing this unpleasant reality since several decades. Now there is no place for alternative views and opinions. Majority of the university students surpass the views of the minority rather. There should be wide opportunities for communication to have proper dialogue in universities. All parties should get together and have conductive environment in universities for this purpose. Media Ministry Secretary Anusha Palpita and several others were participated at this occasion.
Minister Harin Fernando says that this Indian cultural group has visited Sri Lanka for 22 occasions since 2007. This tour has been planned for a period of 1 week.
Accordingly, they have travelled many areas in the island, including Colombo, Negombo, Chilo, Kandy, Nuwara and several other areas. They also held a big recital in Colombo yesterday based on famous Ramayana story. The aim is to further promote tourism sector through the cultural relaxation between India and Sri Lanka. Ministers Mahanayaka, Jeevan Thondaban and Parliamentarian Vadivel Suresh and several others participated in this occasion.
As you all know, Sri Lanka 1 year ago was not in this state. Sri Lanka was suffering, but Sri Lanka is a blessed nation. Sri Lanka is a nation surrounded with God. Sri Lankans are Buddhists, Sri Lankans are Hindus, Sri Lankans are Muslims, Sri Lankans are Christians. We are one country which lives in harmony with all the religions. Prime Minister Modi, I need to special mention because the Indian High Commission, Prime Minister Modi have always said Sri Lanka in time of need, and just like this, your blessings, your guidance for Sri Lanka has been unbelievable and phenomenal. Sri Lanka has kick-started, jump-started, and we are back on track and tourists all over. But we're looking at a lot of culture. Sri Lanka is the best place for yoga, meditation, and also religious tourism. So also, we we believe Sri Lankans should travel to India because there are Rama and Sita story that Sri Lankans should go and visit. So this is a program where we can work both ways, and I think Swami can help us form Sri Lankans to go there and actually understand this entire story.
A program to conduct cataract surgeries free of charge was held recently. 120 patients selected from many areas in the island had these surgeries. Eye surgeons of Kunming Medical University in China conducted the surgeries. This program has been organized by the Sri Lanka-China Social and Cultural Cooperation Association and the Yunnan Provincial Society for the Friendship with Foreign Countries.
Former Minister P. Harrison says that another group of Samaki Janabalawege are willing to join the UNP. He made these remarks at a press briefing held today.
Former Minister P. Harrison said that he will work for the presidential election campaign of Ranil Wickremesinghe. There's a big difference between Ranil Wickremesinghe and Sajid Premadasa. Ranil Wickremesinghe is the leader who built up this country. The general public have also accepted this truth. Sajid Premadasa lives in a fantasy. His desire is to become the president of the country soon. Sajid Premadasa has appealed to my wife to not allow me to cross over. His appeals are recorded in this video. If Sajid Premadasa gives permission, I will issue these videos to media. About 20 to 25 seniors of this party has agreed to cross over.
Moving on to more local stories, the government of Japan last week announced Sunil Gamini Vijayasinghe and Professor Upul Bandara Disanayaka as recipients of the Order of the Rising Sun, spring conferment this year. The two are highly acclaimed individuals from Sri Lanka and have been honoured with this esteemed decoration in recognition of their distinguished contributions to enhance the Japan-Sri Lanka relationship. Their details are as so follows. Sunil Gamini Vijayasinghe, the Order of the Rising Sun, Gold and Silver Strays. He is a former president of the Japan-Sri Lanka Technical and Cultural Association and contributed to strengthening economic relations and promoting mutual understanding between Japan and Sri Lanka. Professor Upul Bandara Disanayaka, the Order of the Rising Sun, Gold Rays with Neck Ribbon. He is a former Vice Chancellor of the University of Peradeniya and the Chairman of the Board of University Administration and contributed to promoting academic exchanges and mutual understanding between Japan and Sri Lanka. Vijayasinghe, the former president of the Japan-Sri Lanka Technical and Cultural Association, prompted Japan's organizational management system, namely 5S, Total Quality Management Method, and Kaizen in Sri Lanka through the establishment of Justeka as one of the founding members.
Popular singer Tony Hassan passed away. He was 73 years at the time of his demise. Tony Hassan entered into the music field as a singer of Hindi songs in the 1960s and later became a very popular star in the musical industry. He was very popular as a singer of both Sinhala and Tamil songs as well and as a background singer in the film industry. Final rites were conducted under the Islamic religious traditions at the Maligavatta Muslim cemetery. Foreign news right after this break.
Prima Kotami Fantamai.
Welcome back with international stories, and moving to USA, the President Joe Biden and Republican leaders have expressed cautious optimism that a deal to raise the US debt ceiling in with reach following emergency talks at the White House. But House of Representatives Speaker Kevin McCarthy told reporters the sides are still far apart. This effort has forced Mr. Biden to cut short of a foreign trip. Without a deal, the US could enter a calamitous default on its $31.4 trillion debt as soon as 1st of June. A failure by the US government to meet the debt obligations could trigger global financial chaos. The Democratic president said Tuesday hours-long Oval Office meeting was good, productive, sounding upbeat about the prospects of an agreement. Mr. McCarthy said afterwards he believed a deal was possible by the end of this week. When asked about the risk of the US falling off the fiscal cliff, the Californian congressman told BBC News, "The great thing about the question is we've already taken default off the table." He also stated that a Biden-appointed representative would negotiate directly with his staff, which he said was a sign that the structure of how we negotiate has improved.
7 children remained hospitalized after suffering serious injuries, and some described these injuries and this attack as life-altering after a truck smashed into a school bus carrying as many as 45 pupils on the outskirts of Australia's Melbourne city.
Hospital staff said some children sustained head injuries, arm amputations and suspected spinal injuries from the impact of the dump truck, which ran the school bus from the rear, causing it to turn over on Tuesday afternoon in a semi-rural community west of the Melbourne. 6 children were reported as initially trapped in the wrecked bus, the country fire authorities said, and the emergency crews had to enter the stricken vehicle through a skylight in its roof, and then a smashed-out windshield was used as the main emergency exit. A total of 21 children were initially taken by the ambulance from the scene to the crash of the medical care, and 7 remain in hospital. The 49-year-old truck driver, identified by local after appearing in court to face 4 on dangerous driving, causing serious injuries.
Prima Katumi Fantamai.
And in your sports news tonight, the World Rugby Council had suspended its membership of Sri Lanka with immediate effect. The council issued a special announcement on this decision today.
The decision has been taken upon focusing the attention with regard to the controversies in rugby administration in Sri Lanka and the violation of the World Rugby regulations. An allegation was levelled against regarding political influence as well. The World Rugby Council and the Asian Rugby Institute has pointed out the need to act mutually with all relevant parties for the promotion of rugby in Sri Lanka.
Northern and Southern provincial teams have qualified for the final game of men's football in the 47th National Sports Festival. The Northwestern Province team became the women's champions, and the games were held in Polonnaruwa.
The women's final match was played between the Northwestern Province and the Western Province. Both teams were unable to score goals during the scheduled time. Accordingly, the winners were selected by penalties. Northwestern Province became the champions with 5-4 goals. The men's final match will be played in Colombo.
Aquatic Bioresources of the University.
The swimming tournament organised by the University of Sri Jawaharlandpura for the 3rd occasion will be held on the 26th and 37th of this month. Ritzberry Company is the main sponsor of this event. A media briefing was held to elaborate on the tournament.
Prima Katumi Fantamai.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's English news on Rupavahini. We'll see you tomorrow at the very same time. Good night.
Good night.